In this episode, Dr. Rob and Corey Davis talk about major depression, SSRIs, electroshock therapy, amino acids, self-help and improvement, and Lyme disease.
Can I record?
You should be able to.
I am. I'm recording.
All right. Man.
Crazy, buddy. If my hard drive space fills up, I think...
I got to start uploading those. I haven't done it in a while, but I'll batch them and then send them up there.
Cool, man. Yeah, it was so it was continuing education every year. It's pretty stringent, actually, to get continuing education credits now because we have a new college. We have KONO, the College of Naturopathy of Ontario.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
It's a new college. And the requirements are crazy. So we have Category A, which is sort of like specific credits in different courses. And then we have Category B, which is a little bit more open-ended.
Uh-huh.
And there's all these different requirements. But this is a pretty cool weekend. It was on mental health.
Mm.
And there were some pretty good speakers, I thought, some good information.
Would you rather talk about that than leaky gut?
No, definitely not. I don't want. No, I've had my fair share of mental health. Although it's a good topic. We could discuss mental health at some point. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a personal one for me because that was how I first experienced major illness, was major depression when I was like 19, 20 years old.
Yeah,
and it's what caused me to get into natural health.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. I was on like main pharmaceutical drugs. You know, I even did electroconvulsive therapy. Believe that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Electroshock, 12 sessions of that when I was like 22 because they had no therapy for me. They like tried SSRI after SSRI. None of them worked. They're just like, well, you know, this is what we have next.
Yeah.
So they hooked me up. It lasted for about 3 days and then just went back to my depressed state.
So it was depression. It was like a major depressive episode, like major depression.
Yeah. For years, for like
6 years.
Yeah.
When did it start?
It started when I was 19. I had like a major life event. Like all my friends changed. My girlfriend left me. I moved to Florida and just like dropped out of college basically to join a startup.
Yeah.
And
cool.
Yeah, just created a perfect environment for me to go through that depressive episode. So yeah, which is basically saying like, I can't do this anymore. There's nothing left for me here in the mainstream treatment of depression. So started changing my diet. Started following Garden of Life. I read Patient Heal Thyself and Andrew Weil. Those are my first two books, you know?
Yeah. The
rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So I'm curious, maybe we should get into this. I don't know. This is like it's funny because we were just I was just literally sitting in a classroom just, you know, for 8 hours for 2 days on it. But
yeah.
I am curious, like when it happens for that long over years, what compelled you to actually make that shift to start looking for, let's say, self-help? Because I think that's the big key. So part of what we were talking about, and it does lead into depression, but suicide, that was a big topic. And I actually thought that was a pretty gutsy move to discuss that in such an open way at this conference.
Mm-hmm.
But people just... you know, you're going through something devastating that's affecting the way you live your day. What popped in how did you make that change, just that small change to even just look, even to consider, hey, I might want to change something, or I might want to see if there's a way out or a way to improve?
I think it was fortunately an influence from my uncle. He, for some reason, started getting into natural health, and he pointed me to Dr. Weil. So he made the first link in my mind, which was like food can cause a difference in your physiology, right? And when I understood depression from a physiological perspective, I started reading some books on it, and none of them necessarily were natural health, but I think there was something showing that there was, you know, kind of a connection, at least loosely. And so I think it was just the concept that I could change my physiology, that's possible. It was like this little seed of an idea.
Yeah.
And it was just, that drove me to then get to go onto Amazon basically and search for like every book possible on the treatment of depression and mental illness in general using nutrient therapies. And that included amino acids, right? Synthetic single amino acids. Those were transformative for like an immediate relief. But they didn't provide any long-term, like I can't still take, you know, glutamine or methionine every day and expect like it to get antidepressive benefits. And I don't really know how that whole thing works, but it did like front load my neurotransmitters to, right, to get some relief. right off the bat. So that made me think, okay, there's something to this. If I can take this pill and then feel a complete mood shift the next day, there's something here. So I just kind of kept following that trail, bit by bit.
Were you vegan, by the way, for a while?
No, I am now. But
you are now.
I wasn't then. Yeah. I love it now. Yeah.
But what about protein in general? Were you protein deficient at that point in your life or no?
I don't know. I don't know if I had a test to actually detect that. I was definitely
diet-wise, even just looking from a bird's eye view, like, would you?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I've eaten meat most every day, even like really great meats. Like I switched to sardines and kippered herring and, all the loaded with omega-3 fat fish that I could find at the time, right? Which I still eat now. I love it. As a vegan, I still eat fish every now and again.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a vegan, I'm just somebody who tries to eat as many whole plant food.
Just a Portland hipster trying to live his life.
Because I want to be cool. Everybody thinks vegans are cool here. So I do what everybody thinks is cool.
That's right.
And,
as you should.
That's why I don't even like coffee. I just drink it because that's what one does. So
that's how you be a leader in society. I mean, that's just how it works.
We still need to talk about Canadian whiskey. We didn't talk about that in our last whiskey chapter, by the way.
Oh, so man, I would love to do that.
Talk about that someday. So
there we go. Maybe that's our next venture, to start a distillery. That would be what a smart move that would be.
Compete with the existing Canadian whiskey market.
Yeah, that'd be such a smart move.
We'll definitely win.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me go back to what was the original question?
I don't remember. No, we were talking about protein
deficiency.
You were talking about amino acids and how that kind of made you feel better, but temporary.
Yeah, I was actually. So I had Lyme disease the whole time, right? Like that was
right. That I knew.
That was the fundamental problem. Was Lyme bacteria eats your vitamin D, it eats your collagen, it minimizes. I also had like a pyrrole disorder, right? So this is like the inability for enough B6 and zinc to be able to conjugate all the, I guess, the byproduct of building red blood cells. So I had like that building up. I have a phase 2 liver issue called Gilbert syndrome. So it was like this crazy mix of stuff that there's no way I could have known at the time, but I was like just self-treating through diet and some supplements and then, creating some interesting outcomes. Like all of a sudden taking D for the first time, vitamin D, and being like, whoa, like it's a whole different reality right now. Like it was a major shift.
Yeah.
And then just getting tests through people like you, like it was the naturopaths in my world that unlocked those next steps, those keys to keep revealing instead of just shooting in the dark and being like, hey, when I'm taking this amino acid, I feel totally different. What's up? The naturopaths in my life have been able to give me those answers. Oh, well, let's do a test and let's figure it out. Yeah. So it's been like 10 years really in recovery since that point at 19 years old. So.
Yeah. So you're still kind of like, would you, if you stop, will you revert back? Like how have you been able to kind of progress? Like how is it, and how long did it take to really kind of, because depression can last for years for sure.
Yeah.
It can be lifelong actually.
Yeah. I really don't get depression much anymore now. I'd say within the last year, that's pretty much gone away altogether. After switching to just a more, believe it or not, vegan diet gives me like tons of extra energy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like nutrition only took me so far.
Yeah.
It's really like mindfulness, meditation, like changing your thoughts, like at a really deep fundamental level and beliefs. That was really the next chapter for where natural health, the holistic model, allowed me to really transcend that condition so much more than just food alone could.
I think that is absolutely the point. For sure. When it comes to any mental illness, no supplement on earth, no nutrition regimen can possibly come close to that. But it can give you the tools to help you get there, and it can give you the self-awareness. I mean, just to make that step to improve your nutrition. I mean, you're going to feel different. You're going to have energy. You might sleep better. So you might get into that state. But ultimately, I mean,
but you don't have that fundamental biochemistry, like let's say you have a vitamin D deficiency, you probably will never not be depressed unless you address that. So I think that I'm so grateful that there are tests out there, that we live in an era that you can go out and get a vitamin D test or a protein analysis, to know if you're just deficient in a certain amino acid. And who knows, it could be throwing off your tryptophan conversion into serotonin, melatonin, etc. Yeah. So I'm just, I think that if you take care of that first, everything else is just icing on top.
How long were you on medication for? And you said you switched from different medications?
Yeah. So I started when I was 19. I just went to a regular practitioner, just a standard doctor that was my primary care physician, and he put me on Effexor. And
that's a pretty rough one, actually.
It was rough. It was really powerful. It like basically just threw me into an entire like a manic fit, right? Just like didn't need to sleep anymore. I had a weird like erection byproduct symptom. It was like I just had nonstop erections. And it was
that's our next topic right there. Sexual enhancement. That's I mean,
Effexor.
Listen, yeah, absolutely. Mania.
If you want to feel like a maniac, exactly, and then not sleep for a month and then crash down, I recommend it. That's what happened to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I went through, and then they just went, that's what they do, right? Then they go, okay, that didn't work. Let's try, Prozac. Let's try Wellbutrin. Let's try all these other ones. And they just went down through the list, and every one I would like, it was weird. I responded differently than most of the people. I would take the pill and literally that day be like, whoa, I can feel this working in my body. And they're like, nope, not possible. You just have a psychosomatic thing going on. That takes 2 weeks for you to feel. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what to tell you. And then
placebo.
Within 2 weeks, it would have already gone through its curve of like, I felt better on it. And then it already had been like, I don't feel anything. And if in fact, I feel negative being on this thing. So it was just like this continual until they went through every SSRI, and they went through the tricyclics even, which is the older forms of antidepressants. And nothing worked because they were trying to address the symptom. It wasn't a serotonin thing. It was
like a chronic fatigue, complex. Wasn't it? It wasn't really necessarily depression in the way that they place depression in a box. It was kind of... Yeah, it was a whole body experience. It was a total cellular breakdown. Like we were saying, there was not enough ATP being created in the cells. There was not enough, just my whole metabolism was gone, sluggish, adrenals, everything, right? And it needed a whole body practitioner to truly solve the problem. But I was going through, to step back and look at like, well, let's look at your lifestyle. I mean, I was going to therapy, of course, and the talk therapy was not effective. I'm like, you know what? I think my thoughts are pretty good, I think I'm pretty good. I'm in check. I'm good.
I'm in check there. Yeah, exactly. Like even my therapists were like, you don't have any issues to talk about. I'm like, no, this is not an issue driven thing. This is a biochemistry.
Something you feel just,
tell them. I just knew something was off in my biochemistry.